We are all set, Captain. You are ready to go.
We are talking about Benjamin Sesko before the Euros. There is another club that is also trying to poach that deal before the Euros, and that is Sesko. Reports coming out today indicate that Todd Boehly has had talks with the agent of the player, and they are very serious about this deal, getting it done before the Euros as well. Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Chelsea are very serious about signing Benjamin Sesko this summer, and that could actually accelerate the deal for Arsenal to sign Benjamin Sesko. We'll talk about Bruno Guimaraes, who wants to stay at Newcastle, and that could actually mean Arsenal have to concretely look at other targets, because you can't literally sign a player who doesn't want to be there. You can't sign a player who doesn't want to join you. We'll be talking about the agreement between Fofana and his club, Monaco, and how Arsenal could actually be impacted in terms of getting a cheap deal that could be less than 30 million euros for a player in his prime. Glenn, I'm happy to have you on the podcast once again. How has been your day?
I've been good. This is the second week of doing it. We've officially started our second week of doing this podcast, so I really appreciate it, and really enjoying doing all the shows as always. And yeah, we are now getting closer and closer to the transfer window, so things are getting even more exciting.
Yeah, just to remind you, the transfer window opens on the same day as the Euros. That will be on the 14th of this month, and that means that we will be seeing a lot of deals, in June, in July, August, until it closes in September. Now, Glenn, we are talking about Benjamin Sesko before the Euros. There is another club that is also trying to poach that deal before the Euros, and that is Sesko. Reports coming out today indicate that Todd Boehly has had talks with the agent of the player, and they are very serious about this deal, getting it done before the Euros as well. Arsenal have been believed to be leading this race, but it has taken us some time before launching an official offer. Now, there are talks about Arsenal going in with an official offer this week, and we expect it. But could Chelsea leapfrog us and go ahead of us because, maybe of one or two things they have done, and we have reluctantly, done them slowly?
I mean, the only way they can push ahead of us, as I've said, is if we're not really interested in him 100%. If we are 100%, this is the guy that Tata wants, this is the guy that Edu wants, I'm not worried about anything these days. It has really helped that Arsenal getting Rice ahead of Man City and Havertz ahead of Bayern Munich. That has really helped. So you now know that, these players want to join Arsenal, hearing positive news from players like Osimhen, positive updates from players like Havertz in terms of wanting to join Arsenal. That has made me feel like, okay, team players want to join this project. So if they really want Sesko, I'm very confident you're going to get him. But obviously, you never know. You never know in terms of the player. He might want a different project. He might feel like, okay, Chelsea are now signing younger players and, I'm going to fit in there well. Maybe at Arsenal, I'm not really going to play every single day. Maybe he's interested in, having a guarantee that he's going to play every single day. At Chelsea, they have Jackson and Nkonkwo is back. I'm not sure he's going to play every single day neither, but he might feel like, okay, I can play up front with Nkonkwo and maybe Jackson could be the one debutizing for me. And he might feel, okay, I want a place where I'm going to play every single day. If not, I'm just going to stay at Leipzig, because I think you said you're expecting him to be like a fast choice striker next season.
Yeah,
if he stays. So I think if the only reason that he might choose the team is because he would want to play as a first team. Now, I'm not worried about the wages in terms of money. If there wasn't any release clause and Leipzig forced him, because I think Modric really wanted to join Arsenal, but Shakhtar, he had to move from Shakhtar to Chelsea because they were offering more money. But I think if you had to ask Modric, no money involved, you'd have chosen Arsenal for sure. Now, for Sesko, I don't think money is an issue because Chelsea have this policy of not spending more than too much wages on one player. That's one of the reasons that they feel like, okay, Osimhen, you'd ask for like 250,000. Not really. They have a cap of like 150,000 or something. So I'm not really be worried about that. The only thing is maybe if Todd Boehly can promise him, bonuses, first team games, you're going to play all 38 games, and all that. But from all the other things, the fact that we can offer a better project, the fact that we can offer Champions League football, Chelsea have Conference League football. I think the player himself would want to play Champions League football. He'd want probably to be managed by Arteta because at Chelsea, new manager, still haven't really finalized yet. So I think it's still pick Arsenal, but yes, you cannot underestimate any Chelsea because you've seen them taking players like Modric before.
Actually, that is the point I wanted us to talk about. They have Enzo Maresca as the new manager, so we don't know what kind of project they are building and how lucrative they are actually going to sell it, because this is a totally new project. I think with the Pochettino project, players would be skeptical, but with Enzo Maresca, he's had that kind of success with Leicester City, and they have, he has a Toddy Bolly behind him who's going to back him. It would be interesting to actually see how they actually sell it. Now, Chelsea being serious could be very good news in terms of Arsenal, especially in terms of Arsenal fans, but not Arsenal the club, because that would rush us. Do you see Chelsea's interest rushing Arsenal into quickly wrapping up this deal? Because both of us have agreed it's a deal that is can be regarded as a low-hanging fruit. It's a very, very good deal. Like you don't just wake up in the morning and there is a very good talent on the market worth 55 million euros. I think that was a mistake by RB Leipzig, and he's available in June, and you need a striker at that time. And so many clubs need a striker. It's a very good deal. Could Arsenal be rushed into decisions because Chelsea, have done bad to us before, and they could do it again?
Again, only if this is the complete main target for Arteta. If this is the player that he wants, I'm pretty sure he'll push Edu and the other guys and tell them, listen, just do what you need to do to get him to the club. But if they feel like they have different options and they're just testing the waters with Sesko, because again, as you said with other deals, if an opportunity pops up, they take advantage. Maybe they feel like, okay, the Sesko one is an opportunity. Yes, we can take it, but we don't really have to take it because maybe we didn't really expect him to be this or that, and we have other targets. That could help. But in terms of Chelsea pushing us, will that make them push faster and make rash decisions? I don't think it will. I actually think if they hear that Chelsea has offered more money than us and they feel like now we're not really, I think they could just let him go. Like, okay, fine, just let him go to Chelsea. Especially considering last time that happened, it worked more perfectly for us. Trossard, Modric, they'd be like, okay, you can have him. He'll get another 25 million strike and then we'll show you what you're made of. But rush decisions, I mean, it's only a week before the Euros or something, so there's not too much time for all that to happen, I think Man City putting in a bid for Rice made us, panic a bit, because I think that was our main target. Yeah.
That's what I was actually talking about, that probably Arsenal could advance quickly. Maybe not rush, maybe not make rush decisions, but advance quickly. Look to, if we are looking to make maybe 5 successive bids, cut that down to 3, maybe a little bit. And probably if we're thinking our first bid goes in on Wednesday and then we advance quickly and it goes in on Tuesday, something like that.
If it's like a day difference, that could happen. But in terms of quicker, if maybe we had already had 40 million on the side to offer, or we already had 45 million on the side to offer anyway, and then Chelsea come in and they're like, okay, let's just put the money up front. But not in terms of changing their mind. I don't think Chelsea make us, if we had 40 million, 60, he's 60. I don't think you're going to panic like that, because financial problems these days and all that, I think they want to be very they know we are going to this season even more under pressure. They know they have to get things right once again. We can't make any mistake this transfer window. So I think it won't really push them to the point of rushing decisions. But if they already had the money, it can push them maybe to just do the deal quicker.
Yeah, definitely. Now, just to keep you updated on the Benjamin Sesko story, we are hearing that Arsenal have got green light from the player, a yes, just to be precise, from John Cross from the Mirror, confirming that Arsenal and Benjamin Sesko are on the right page. But of course, he's not given us an answer whether he wants to stay at RB Leipzig or leave RB Leipzig this summer. That is the decision. We are waiting for. Chelsea are very serious about this deal. They're no longer monitoring just, they're no longer looking at the situation just, but they're serious about getting him in, and a decision should be reached before the Euros. So in the next days, you should be hearing something big on Benjamin Sesko. Now, another story Arsenal fans have been eager to hear from is Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes obviously was reported as one of the main targets for Arsenal in midfield. And when we came on to this show, I think a week ago, we were all very excited about what Arsenal could do, how these installments could be paid and all this kind of stuff, how we could sign a level raiser in midfield. But Bruno wants to stay at Newcastle. That is confirmed. Now, a couple of months ago, it was also said that he really sees himself as the building pillar of this Newcastle project. However, Newcastle could want to sell and might have to sell due to FFP. That is number one. And secondly, the player also wanted UEFA Champions League football. PSG, Man City, and Arsenal are able to provide that. Let's start off by drawing the line. Do you think he wants Champions League football more, or he wants to be the king at Newcastle more?
I think he wants Champions League football more, but this deal, if you're linked to like someone like a Sesko, we can say, okay, there's maybe one complication. Maybe Leipzig don't want to sell him for this particular price. Maybe if you look at an Isaac, maybe he wants to join Arsenal, but the price could be a problem. Osimhen, he wants to join Arsenal, but Napoli wants to sell him, but maybe wages could be a problem. Now for Bruno Guimaraes, I don't feel like it's one problem. I feel like it's 10 problems. Fee, 100 million, it's too much. That's too much. Again, just like the Osimhen one, unless you decide, okay, you're just going to get a midfielder. For me, midfield is my priority. As I've said, if you get a midfield and then you get a striker, you'd have to get a cheaper striker. But the fee is a problem. 100 million for Bruno Guimaraes, I don't think is worth that. I'd go like 70 million the most. So 100 million, that is the first problem. Second problem, Newcastle don't want to sell him. It probably don't even want to sell him to another Premier League team, and maybe even worse, don't want to sell him to Arsenal either way. So that's another problem. Problem number 3, the player himself might want to stay at Newcastle. There's that option as well. He might want to stay at Newcastle and just play there because he loves the fans. The fans love him. He might want to stay there. Problem number 4, the wages could end up being a problem. Number 5, can we promise him sure game time, because we already have Partey, already have Jorginho. Maybe if Partey left and then we told Bruno Guimaraes, you see, that's his spot. That could make him say, okay, fine. But 5, 6, 7 problems, that becomes
and number seven, his release clause expires while he's during
Copa America.
During Copa America.
Yeah, so those are a lot of problems, a lot of issues to try and get him in. So yeah, all the players could have 1 or 2 complications, but Bruno Guimaraes has like 7 or 8, and all of them do not bode well for any team, pretty much.
Yeah, and that is something that I think Arsenal have done very well in terms of identifying players that could join and players that could not join. I see Arsenal walking away slowly and surely, walking away from this deal. The good thing is that it has been reported just that Arsenal admire, Arsenal are interested. There's nothing big like Arsenal will make an initial bid or something like that. I think it's a deal that's so complicated, especially because of the Copa America thing. If Newcastle were willing to negotiate, then July would be the thing, because we don't desperately need a defensive midfielder in the first 2-3 games of the campaign. We still have our core, our core midfield. So he could come in even in September, and then he could get socialized into the team. But I don't see it as an easy deal. So UEFA Champions League versus him, his loyalty and whether Newcastle will actually want to give him a much better deal. We wait and see. Yeah.
Have we signed an outfield player after the season has started the last couple of seasons? I think it's only Raya. Yeah,
it's only Raya.
I don't think Atala's doing that. I think he's very keen on getting it done by July. So if it doesn't happen, I don't think he wants the player.
Yeah. Now, in terms of happening right now, I would say this is a 1 out of 10. What would you rate it at?
Probably a 2 out of 10. That's it.
Like the possibility of it happening. We're not saying it's not happening, guys. We're saying when you look at the circumstances of this deal, and you look at the circumstances of the next player we're going to talk about, it's very, very different. So, Glenn, today, Yossouf Fofana has just confirmed that he has an agreement to leave Monaco this summer. He's told the media that as long as Monaco get what they need, or what he has called winning, and then he also wins. I think in terms of him winning, that would be going to the right project, going to a good club, and being left to go as well. The agreement is there. He will be leaving Monaco this summer. Question number 1, should Arsenal just jump onto this one?
He said 25 million?
25 million euros, could be less, according to what we're hearing.
Yeah, if it's less, I think you convinced me that other day in terms of Fofana, not for him to come and replace Partey and be your main midfielder, but again, I have the same plan. So if Partey stays and you're going to get for fun, and then you also keep Jorginho and Rice, fine, pay that 20-25 million. If Partey leaves, you have to get one midfielder and then plus Fofana, not just one midfielder. So yes, you think you should pay. He's a quality player. He's going to help you as a backup, sometimes start the game, so yeah. And he told me he has some really good qualities in terms of a lot of good things. So I would take him for that kind of price. Midfielders like that do not come easy.
Yeah. Now, Monaco obviously will not stand in his way. That is that makes the deal a little bit easier, or so much easier actually, not a little bit. I love deals where there is a willing seller, there is a willing buyer, and the player who's willing to move in that direction. They're so easy, and they make life very, very easy. So in terms of our top stories today, guys, Chelsea are very serious on signing Benjamin Sesko. That could see the deal for Benjamin Sesko to Arsenal advancing very quickly, as we want to get it done, but also we want to beat Chelsea to his signature. Bruno Guimaraes prefers to stay at Newcastle, and at the moment his priority is going to be the Copa America. So by the time he comes out of that tournament, his release clause will be expired. So that means Arsenal have to enter negotiations with Newcastle, who definitely don't have to sell unless they're forced into that position by FFP. And Yossouf Fofana, a big Arsenal target in midfield, has revealed a big secret that they do have an agreement between him and the club, Monaco, to leave this summer as long as Monaco get good money and the player gets a good move. So talk to us. Would you sign Yossouf Fofana? Would you stay and wait for the situation to unfold with Bruno Guimaraes, especially that Newcastle could have to sell in order to buy, in order to reinvest in their squad? And of course, seriously, do you think Chelsea will beat Arsenal on that Benjamin Sesko deal? Now, in terms of a left back, also a left-footed centre back, Arsenal are very active. However, looks like we might have to unload some of the players we have, and that could be Tomiyasu, that could be a Zinchenko. I mean, Bayern wanted Zinchenko, but there is also another player who is hugely wanted, and that is Jakub Kiwior to AC Milan. Bit of a good season, promising a good season next season if you actually keep him, in my opinion. Kiwior, keep or sell?
I'll keep 100%. I have no doubts in terms of that. You don't get a cheap player like that who comes and has an impact that he's had and is happy to be on the bench, no complaints, and you can start him without being overly too worried. You can start him at centre back. And remember when Holding came into the team and then he didn't perform well, Kiwior came and played on the right side of Gabriel. So we've seen him doing that. He can come on a left back as well. And from this first season at Arsenal, his first half season at Arsenal, and then his full season, he definitely improved. He improved his game. He started returning goals, assists, and creating chances. And yes, he had a couple of poor games. Obviously, the Bayern one definitely stood out. As Cossy said, I agree with him. I wouldn't have played Kiwior in that game anyway. I think that was suicidal. That should have been Tomiyasu. A couple of games, he struggled. That happens to a lot of players. But in terms of impact, I feel like Arsenal fans are not like, oh my goodness, Kiwior is coming on. No, I think people are comfortable with him playing. He's comfortable in the ball. He's done what he's been asked to, sometimes overlap, sometimes coming into midfield. He's good on the ball. He can, he's a threat from set pieces. He scored a couple. I think everything fills the bill. And it's very difficult to get a player who, is great. He can play as a left back. He can play as a centre back for that fee. If you let go of Kiwior, yes, we'll make a profit. But to get another one like that, you'll have to pay like another 30 million or 35 million, maybe even more, because people will bump up their prices. On top of that, getting a new player, you'll need them to adapt in everything. Kiwior, we can already save ourselves the stress. Kiwior's already, adapted to the team. He's already used. He's already used to playing with Martinelli. I think Martinelli actually enjoys playing with Kiwior on that left side. He's already used to Gabriel, already used to Saliba, he's already used to culture, our style of play, what it expects from him. And a player who's always willing to do whatever the coach is telling him, play left back, play this, play there, you want us to do this. He comes off the bench sometimes with 5 minutes remaining and no complaints, does the job, clears whatever he needs to clear. A player can play in the Carabao Cup, we can play in the FA Cup, we can start in the league. You don't get too many players like that. And on top of that, he stays fit. He's never injured. He's always available for us in some crucial parts. Because I'm imagining that period where he was playing as a left back. We didn't have Zinchenko. I think he was injured, and Tomiyasu was injured. There's a time Tomiyasu disappeared after the Asian Cup, and you didn't know where he was. Team was not there. So I'm imagining if Kiwior wasn't there, if you didn't have the option of Kiwior, what the hell would you have done? So Kiv is an option you can depend on to always be there, is always fit, is always going to give you the job, the work that you need. And for only like 50, how much was he signed for?
We're signing for around 15 million.
15 million. I put him on the same bracket as Jorginho, a player that, comes in, January transfer window, same January transfer window for both. You don't expect too much from them, but he comes and has an impact. I think that's a player you can keep. You can have him as a bench option next season. If he starts, I have no worries at all. If you want to play against like a team like where you need 6 centre backs, as Cossy likes to say, when you're playing one team, maybe you won't play, maybe you will. He's a centre back. He can play in any of those positions. I wish there was a way you could experiment. I wish there was a way you can play an exhibition match in the middle of the season where you can try Kiv as a midfielder, Ben White as a midfielder, and just see how it goes. But for me, Kiv is a definite keep.
Yeah, he's a definite keep for me in my books as well. However, the prioritizing of a new left-sided defender means that Arsenal will have to offload someone. Now, it can't be Kieran Tierney alone, because we know that Kieran Tierney has always been away from this setup. So it's got to be someone, right? One or two, actually, in my opinion, because when I think about Kivio, and then I think about a new player, and then Zinchenko, and then Tomiyasu, all of them can double somewhere else, but predominantly they are on the left-hand side. So let's talk about priorities, and let's talk about casualties here. Let's start off with Alexander Zinchenko. With Zinchenko, defensively weak in terms of his offensive game and inverting, he's top of the list, right?
Yeah.
Top of the players you would want to keep in terms of, we have a left back who can invert into midfield, help us dominate Luton. They're gone. Help us dominate Southampton, who are back. I would love to batter them because they are one of the reasons we, fell off the other season. But
I can't believe it, man.
So Zinchenko, you have a couple of clubs interested, but Bayern are leading that race. Do you think he's among the definite casualties, or would you actually consider his offensive abilities as a reason to stay?
I really, really, really want Zinchenko to stay. I really
injury
want
prone
Jesus.
as well, by the way.
Yeah. I really, really want Jesus to stay. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, they're the ones who are going to leave, right? In the back of my mind, I'm like,
yeah.
Surely, the way things are going, they've been linked with players in their positions, the way the other players in their positions are signing new contracts, like Tomiyasu, I'm like, surely it's them who are going to go. But again, I'm telling myself, Arteta really loves these players. These players with him at Man City, they probably do what he wants most in terms of, retaining the ball and inverting and just working hard in duels. Win your duels. That's all he says. Duels. Jesus does that better than anyone else. So part of me also feels like maybe he won't really sell them. But if you're selling a left-sided defender, unless Tomiyasu is now going to be used on the right side completely alongside Ben White, rotate there, or maybe it's going to be used as a backup for Saliba in some games completely, and that is what has been told. And maybe they're not expecting Timber to always be available all 38 games. I don't know if he's completely recovered and he's going to be there completely. Maybe that could be a reason that they still keep Zinchenko and they still keep Kiwi and they still buy a left-sided defender. But the way it's looking at the wages, Arteta doesn't want a big squad, too many players. Everything is pointing out to be, if you're to ask me who the casualty will be, it's probably going to be Zinchenko. It might end up being surprisingly Kivio, because again, I think Arteta might love Zinchenko more. But again, as you said, the injury prone thing, that could also cost him. Because if it's one problem, you just injure like Partey, but we know when you play, you're good. It's great. But for Zinchenko, people are not safe in terms of his defending. The injuries are too much. Maybe Arteta feels like, though, in terms of the bullying of the teams, maybe he feels like Zinchenko cannot do that really as much as he wants. Maybe, unfortunately, he's actually evolved past those players already. I'm hoping not, but in terms of casualty, now we have 7 defenders. If we have 8, I'm happy with it. If he brings an 8th one and can keep all of them and have a couple of games where he can rotate Gabriel and rotate Saliba, because last season we were in trouble. We had 7 defenders. You can count Cedric, but we had 7 like who were always going to play, 7 defenders. Now we didn't have Timber, so that's 6. We didn't have Tomiyasu, that's 5. And some games we didn't have Zinchenko. We are very lucky that Ben White and Saliba and Gabriel are always there, because I'm imagining if Saliba got suspended for 3 games, what would we have done? There was no Timber, there was no Tomiyasu, and there's a game where Zinchenko was not there. Even Partey, the right back, even him was injured. So what would he have done? Would we have to play Rice as a right back? Would he have had to play Saka back as a full back? Would he have had to start Cedric as a starter? Kivio really helped us in terms of covering that. Maybe you could have seen Kivio as a right back. Who knows if one of those players drops an injury, but it's really, really, really hard to know. But I think there's definitely going to be a casualty. Personally, I don't want any of them to be. For the fans, I think people would choose Zinchenko. But I'd not be surprised if it's Kivio.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if it's Kivio as well. Tommy has just signed a new deal, reliable, but very injury prone as well. So he's one that I would keep my eyes on, especially if Mikel Arteta and the squad were to bring in a more reliable, option there.
Do you think they could feel like we don't really make too much profits in terms of sales? Well, this is an opportunity. Kivio is coming down more than expected.
It could be because with Kivio, we might be talking about 20 plus million. So now AC Milan want him as a priority centre back. And that's where the question I wanted to ask you, how much? If we were to let go, how much?
30 million. That would be my fee. A player who can, control the ball. He can play as a centre back. He can play as a left back. Probably not on the levels of players like Vardiel, but if Vardiel is going for like 85 million, Kivio has come to Arsenal. Great defender. He's doing his job in terms of defending. He's going forward. He's not scared of shooting the ball. He's good at crossing the ball. He's chipped in with a couple of assists. He's been in race. He's been involved in very good culture in the team. You can even argue he's kept a few players, really good players, out of the team because Zinchenko's back, Tomiyasu back, but Kivio's still starting some games, and Arteta really trusts him. He brings him on even when you're like 1-0 up, and he feels like this is the guy to help me, get to the end of the line. He's improved since he came to England. He's also experienced English football. And I think if he experienced English football, the way they usually say, like, if you can live in New York, you can live anywhere in the world. I usually hear them saying that. If you can play in the Premier League, I think you can play anywhere else in terms of physicality and all that. So I'd say 30 million, double what we bought him for.
Yeah, double what we got him for. I could even say 35 million because he's one of the players that have had the game time this season, and he's not really disappointed too much. Like, some fans like me, again, want to put it. I don't think he had a bad season at all, actually. We have to agree that some players don't have 100% good performances all the time, and that is only human. Now, in terms of who could actually come in at left back or left centre back as well, Sporting CP are saying that they will be listening to offers for Osman Diamonde, the young Ivory Coast centre-back. And those offers, if they are around 50 million euros to 60 million euros, they'll be able to sell. Arsenal have been around this boy, I don't know, for 2 years now, consecutively. Fabrizio reporting about it, multiple outlets reporting about it as well. And now he's suddenly available. However, in terms of players available, Goncalo Inacio, still at Sporting, linked with Arsenal in January, is now available. Lenny Yoro is a player Arsenal looking at, and Jora Hato, obviously. So if we lost Kivio, the centre back stroke full back, we know. He cost very cheap. It was 15 million. Do you think we go for a cheaper option? Should we go for someone a little bit more, advanced in terms of the features that Mikel Arteta is looking for? What do you think should be the profile and price? And who, by the way, on this list that we are looking at?
As I said, if defenders, I only have 2 options: Branthwaite and Hato. Now, Hato would be the one because he plays more on that side and stuff. He'd not be the only one.
I've seen Branthwaite at 70 million.
That's too much. But now, for us, because we look at midfielder, striker, winger, maybe Arteta just wants, 18 clean sheets. And let's make that 25 next season. Let's just make it even more impossible for these teams to score against us. You could feel that way. Let's keep making the defense solid to the point where you don't even concede goals at all. Attack could feel that way. So, but in terms of does it want someone who can improve in terms of ahead of Kiwi and stuff? I think he probably would, because he wants to keep going. You have to keep on improving the team, and he knows you have to keep on getting even more qualities. And that says, like, I think I would like to be in a training session, and that Arsenal training session.
Yeah.
I don't think you can just join at the same day and then you play tomorrow. Remember the way you used to buy a player like I don't know, Ozil, and then he plays the next day against Sunderland.
Samuel Nasri,
and then they play the next day. I don't think you can do that with us. You literally need like 2-3 weeks of preseason to get into the Arsenal team. So he might want that, but should he want that? I don't think so, man. I feel like our defense is good. We're able to keep those clean sheets, and that could have easily been 23 clean sheets. If you keep in mind that maybe if the game against Wolves, we conceded in the 94th minute. Zinchenko gave away the ball, conceded. Against Nottingham Forest away from home, Saliba makes a mistake in the 94th minute, we concede. Those would have been 2 definite clean sheets. Our knee scored. Even at home to Nottingham Forest, that counter attack, just one mistake, the Nottingham Forest scored, they take away a clean sheet. There is so many occasions, like 6-7 occasions, we could easily have kept a clean sheet. No team that they never really did anything against us, and then they ended up scoring a goal. We keeping teams down to 1 shot on target, 0 shots on target. If you add more defenders to that, you probably just keep on keeping those clean sheets, and you have another solid season. That's why you're hearing stuff about Raya. They really want to complete that Raya deal, and you're linked to defenders. That could be the case. But for me, 70 million Branthwaite too much. Players like Diomande, you don't get those 19, 20-year-old defenders becoming available too easily. I think he played against us.
Yeah, he did.
He played against us. I think he also went to AFCON with Ivory Coast, if I'm not trying to say him a couple of times.
Didn't have the best tournament, but he did look very, very bad as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's experienced that international tournament at that kind of age. So if players like that become available, you can go for them. But for me, I'm not looking to spend more than 30 million on a defender, to be honest.
I'm of the idea that Mikel Arteta is doing what Liverpool have failed to do and Man City have done successfully. And I think it's very important. Every single season, regardless of where you finish, you've got to evolve your squad. Now, we might expect Arsenal to be defensively resolute next season. We might expect Arsenal to be more of, a boring, side with a lot of possession, but he will still want to evolve the side. He wants to get maybe a much better center back. He wants to get a much better midfielder. He wants to get a different kind of a striker. That's what Man City have done for the last 7 years, and that's why they have been a little bit unpredictable. And Liverpool, at some point in time, you figured them out. You could figure them out, and because it's Mane, Salah, and Firmino for some time, and then when they went away, they were different. They were difficult to replace. So I think what Mikel wants is, I don't want to replace my players at once, and I want this team to keep on evolving. I won't be surprised if we all say, "Oh, Timber is going to be playing this season. Timber is going to be the key to this Arsenal team," and Timber doesn't get as many minutes, and then those minutes go to Etomiyasu, or they go to someone else we don't actually see. Now, for me, there are 2 contestants here. There is another huge talent at Barcelona, but I don't think they're going to let him go. So there are 2 players. It's Hato and Diamonde. If you are Mikel and you had to choose one, would it be Hato? Would it be Diamonde?
It would be Hato. Again, players from Ajax, Brighton, Man City. I think they have that dominating of games and scoring a lot of goals and defenders pushing up. I think it'd fit into our system more. And also, I think he's younger, and I think he would be. You think it'd be cheaper?
Well, he's just signed a new deal at Ajax, but he's not. He's not got that hype of Diamonde yet, because Diamonde has played so many games. He's got a lot of experience. So you would say 35 million for Hato could do the deal. Diamonde, definitely 45.
I'd go for the cheaper one, and then Hart is the one that I've really looked at. Gerald Hart is the one that I've really looked at. So for me, I think that's also another player who can go the Saliba way. I mean, he might come and play, but he might come and then you send him back on loan for a season and then come back. I don't know if I heard you saying that in terms of one of our videos. If you said loan.
I was saying that with Gerald Hart, so the best way is you sign him right now because it's a generation talent, and then you let Ajax have him for another year.
Yeah, because our talents like that do not become available that easily. And from what we've seen, Timber is, the players who've come from Ajax, many of them have been injured, but we've seen some qualities in their playing. Timber, Alessandro Martinez, and those guys. So I think the culture they have there would be easy. I think it would be easier to get hurt than Diamonde.
Yeah, sure. Now, in terms of the left back, guys, the update I can give you in the position is that Arsenal are looking to bring in one more defender, and that's going to be on the left-hand side. Julian Timber, I'm hearing that Mikel could actually use him on the right-hand side of the defense, more as compared to the left-hand side, like we have seen this season, probably during the beginning and maybe the end. Do you think we could such a change?
In terms of defense, what I would do, I'll just ask you a question first, and then I'll tell you.
Yeah, so I was asking whether you think Mikel could actually shift Julien Timber back into the right position, right back position, where he naturally plays, and then
No.
We totally go new on the left-hand side.
I think Timber is going to stay in left. I think the formation you could see is Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White as basically like the three centre backs, and then Timber goes into midfield to help whoever, maybe Rice, if Rice is playing as a number 6 in that particular game, and then that allows you to have Odegaard, Havertz, Martinelli, Saka all on the pitch at the same time, and another player as well. I think that's up to 11. So I think it's going to be on the left side. I mean, he came. Atsa never really said I'm signing Timber to play on the right side. He signed him, and all of a sudden he played, I think, 30 minutes at right back, and then right away he's played at left back. I don't think Ben White is droppable right now. I think Ben White is too important in the team, and the left side, as you've always said, is the one that you never know is open for anyone to take and make it their own. So that's what would happen. I think Timber will play there. But for me, what I'd do if we had to sign a defender, I'd tell Kiwior next season you're not playing left back. You're going to be a backup for Gabriel and maybe Saliba. That's your focus. Maybe 1 or 2 games at left back. Zinchenko, yes, you're going to play a couple of games at left back, but I'll need you to push more forward into the midfield and stuff like that with Julian Timber. And in case of suspensions, then for 1 game, 2 games, then we can bring in Tomiyasu at right back. But if you had to sign a defender, I don't know what happened to Kadioglu in terms of his news. I'd get him as a left back and go on from there. That is if we don't get someone like a Hato. That is my first choice. If a defender like that becomes available, Hato. But Kadioglu's like his numbers and his positioning and what I've heard from Fenerbahce fans and people who've watched him regularly, seems exciting, and it would be cheaper. Yeah,
I mean, Kadioglu is interesting. The only thing about him is that you could give him a green tick in terms of versatility in advanced areas of the pitch, but not at centre back. So maybe
would you say it's like a Zinchenko?
I would say it's more like a Zinchenko, but with defensive abilities.
Okay, so that's probably wants like a centre back, and so that's what I'm saying. If it was me, I'd just tell Kiwior you're going to focus more on centre back next season, unless he wants to improve on Kiwior. I'd like to have a meeting with Arteta man and listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we'll keep you posted with the left back position. Like I said, stories coming in, of course, every single day. Diamonde is the one that has been leading the news in the position, as Sporting Lisbon are saying they will be willing to sell for 50 to 60 million euros should offers come in. Obviously, they have another centre back in Goncalo Inacio that is interested, picking up interest in from Manchester United and Liverpool, and of course was linked with Arsenal in January. So don't be shocked if Arsenal go for a name you guys have only had about once. Now, as we wrap up the show, Fulham are willing to take a double deal from Arsenal, and that is Emile Smith-Rowe for 30 million and Edin Ketia for 30 million euros as well. There is a very big debate on the valuation of Emile Smith-Rowe. People going for 25, others going for 45. I'm in between there, in the middle, around 30, 35, and then with Edin Ketia, I'm 25. I think with 30 million euros for both of them, that would be 60 million euros. Is it a deal that you just close your eyes, take the money and run?
For Smith-Rowe?
Smith-Rowe and Edin Ketia, 60 million euros.
For both of them. That Smith-Rowe story really makes me sad because just makes me so sad. But again, for Smith-Rowe, I still feel like I would keep Smith-Rowe. he'll do something for us in the team, hopefully next season. But as you guys have told me, maybe it's just hope and he's not really going to be used. But I feel like he still has something because we've seen him performing for us. So a couple of other players, we've not really seen them performing consistently for a full season. I think we saw a full season for Smith Rowe at Arsenal. And we know the reason why he's not playing is not because he became hopeless and then we removed him from the team. It was the injuries, and then we couldn't really bring him back to the team because Martinelli came in, Trossard came in and all that. Now, you won't get too many teams offering that for a player who hasn't really played for 2 years. And in terms of goals and assists, there's nothing too much there in the last two years as well. Fitness is a concern as well. So a few concerns there, but there's positives like he's still young. He can improve in terms of that. He's been at the top team for a long time. He's been on loan in Germany before. He's experienced a different country. He's been on loan in the Championship before. Huddersfield fans said nice things about him when he went there. He can play numerous positions, left wing, number 10, and number 8, especially for those other teams as well. He could bring a lot of quality to whichever team he goes. So I think he's worth that around that money. I was expecting teams to come in with 18 million, 90 million, and like, now we're not going to sell him at all. Now 30 million is a surprise because he's a player who can get injured anytime. But we can say the last 4 months or something, he never really got injured, but maybe because he didn't play with that, we don't know. For Edin Nketiah, I think they were here around the same time, but I think Nketiah and Nelson are the early ones to come in. I think Nketiah, we've seen him performing for, we've seen him given a chance for a couple of seasons, like in terms of number of games. Yes, there's a season where he scored a lot of goals, crucial goals. Even last season, pre-season before last, when he scored the last minute goal against Man United, he was performing, he's still scoring. But the thing is, depending on him is a problem. You can now now for Smith Rowe, I can tell you, okay, maybe he can play a couple of games where Rice is, because we don't really have too many number 8s. I can tell you maybe he can play as a backup for Odegaard if Vieira's choice next one is to be used as Saka's backup. Maybe there's an opportunity there. But for Nketiah, I've seen him being played on the wing a couple of times, but he hasn't really worked. Now he's centre forward. Now Havertz is already here. We are going to sign a new striker. Jesus is still here. Trossard can play there. He's basically almost number 5 on the list in terms of central strikers. Again, the other thing is, when we finish the season, Smith Rowe is getting a few opportunities from the bench. We never really saw. Even Nelson started a couple of games, but Nketiah not at all. He got to January.
The manager has probably given up on him.
So probably gave up on him that December, January, and then maybe said, okay, I'm going to give Smith Rowe and Nelson a chance at the end of the season. Now, if the season was still extended by like 10 more games, we'd have found out if he's also lost trust completely in Nelson or Smith Rowe. But Nketiah didn't get any chance at all. And on top of that, again, the other bad thing is Smith Rowe, I think there's still a connection with fans. Yes, there's still people saying, okay, he's not good enough. But I think Nketiah, that game against Bayern Munich when he came on, and I saw still fans like, ugh, Nketiah, what are you doing? Like, you rather bring in a defender. This guy is this. Oh, and I was like, it's not one person saying it. Even they could tell the crowd, they're like, ugh, Nketiah. It reminds me of the Xhaka in 2019. Now, things can change. Like, things changed for Xhaka, but he's been here for a longer time, and people feel like, in terms of quality is not really there. And there's always jokes about from other opposition teams saying, oh, they're playing Nketiah, nothing to worry about. You can play 2 defenders. You don't really want that. And he tries to prove himself. I don't know if you notice when Nketiah scores a goal, he's like this. He's trying to show I can score goals, blah, blah, blah. And I still think like Nketiah can score 10, 15 goals in a team, but we are not really in a position to give players chances like that. I'd like to see him in a different team and see how he performs. So 30 million for Nketiah, I think that's around the same money I was expecting us to get. 30 million for Smith, that's around the same money I was kind of hoping we'd get if you ever have to sell him. Now, a year ago, 2 years ago, I would say 50 million for Smith Rowe or something. But there's too many concerns in terms of injury.
There's a time when Villa lost Grealish, and in a summer where they signed, I think, Emi Buendia. They were offering us above something around 60 million euros for ESR, and we say
he was that
he's
good.
untouchable.
He was that good, but those injuries is a concern, and then he has not played in 2 years, but he still played in the top level. He still, as you said, both of them are still scored a few goals this season. Not Smith hasn't scored, but he assisted a couple against Luton, against Sheffield, and then, but Nketiah scored against Sheffield and all that. I mean, all of them are Premier League teams, but look at the standards that you're trying to achieve and where we're trying to go with against Man City, I think if we tell Man City that we are keeping Ketty and keeping Smith, they're not signing anyone, they'd be like, yeah, we are winning it again next season.
Yeah.
I still feel like Smith would be the one that I keep. I want him to stay. But again, I'm an Arsenal fan, not a player fan. If it benefits the team, if that 60 million is going to help us get Douglas Luiz and sign a backup goalkeeper, 2 players with that money, you have to do the deal.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Arsenal today have confirmed the departures of Cedric Soares and Mohamed Elneny. Any surprises, any mistakes here for you? Because I look at Elneny as one of the longest serving players at Arsenal, the leadership, probably the culture that he shares, and the dedication from the Arsene Wenger days. I don't think we have so many managers that have gone toe-to-toe with a manager like Ferguson, with the budget that Wenger had, and they've actually been that successful. So lots of respect to that guy. But Elneny, it was time to leave for me. Like 2 years ago, Arsenal kept him because of the injury. That was like really, really good in terms of Arsenal's, culture. Cedric Soares, I've seen this guy take free kicks for Arsenal, and I would have broken my TV.
I love Elneny as a player. I absolutely love, not as a player, as a person in the dressing room. As a player, there's no way you can play Nketiah. Elneny today in the team and expect a lot from him, let's be honest. But in terms of the culture and the way he's nice, he always supports everyone in the team. He's always there for everyone. He absolutely always helps everyone, man. He always helps in the team, and from what I've heard from every other player in the team, saying that Elneny is very crucial in this team. He helps us in the dressing room, the experience. He always motivates everyone, always brings some good culture into the team. That's a player you'd want to keep in the dressing room for sure. You don't really want to get rid of him, let's be honest. But I think it's time now. You could be right. In terms of quality, I think it's probably 4 years too late.
Yeah.
He should have gone 4 years ago or something.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think it's time to move on. You're not going to get money for him. I wish him all the best where he goes. It was a weird signing at the time he came in. I was like, okay, this guy can't really help us. But obviously, looking at that 8 years ago now, I'm like, what are we thinking, man? What kind of level are we? But he's a good guy. This is what he had to say. It's meant a lot to me being here for so long. It was the best 8 years of my life. I think even for him, I don't think he expected to be here for 8 years. I love this club so much. I love the fans. I love everything about Arsenal. It breaks my heart that's why I refused to take to the field on the lap of honor after Everton, because I was so full of emotion. But that's life. My time here has come to an end, and I'm very proud of what I've done for this club. So, great guy. I don't think he's going to leave Arsenal and people would hate him. I don't think there's a single person would hate Mohamed Elneny.
With Mohamed Elneny, he's been one of the longest serving players at this Arsenal side. It's been absolutely a long run, with the likes of Granit Xhaka gone, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang gone, Lacazette gone, Socrates gone, Mustafi, Pametsaka. All those players I've mentioned, and the likes of Peter Cech, have played with Mohamed Elneny, and he's somehow survived until this day. So for me, never a quality signing, even from the Arsene Wenger days. I think, he's one of those signings that we made and just average, really, really just average, but he could do a job. His work ethic, impeccable. His leadership, impeccable as a player. I think it's like
he only scored goal of the season contenders as well.
Yeah. I was going to compare him to James Milner, players that are always there. You don't expect world class performances from them, but he's there. But at times, James Milner has given us, some good performances. Now, Cedric Soares.
Was he our first signing, Cedric? And Arteta, or was it Pablo Mari? One of them.
Let's see.
I think both of them were signed in the January 2020, just before COVID.
The January transfer window. Yeah, both of them. Were they Unai Emery signings? Were they?
No, it was Arteta. No, first Arteta signings. Yeah, first Arteta signings. I think it would have been Cedric.
No, the first one was Pablo Mari.
And then Cedric at the end of the window. I think it was 2 days later or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that time we signed Cedric, believe it or not, because I was happy. I was buzzing. I was like, this guy coming from Southampton, I've seen him winning the Euros with Portugal. I'm seeing him taking free kicks at Southampton. I mean, we're in such a bad place. I'm thinking about it right now.
Like, when I think about the fact that Cedric was standing on, and by the way, we don't have a free kick specialist, but Cedric taking free kicks for Arsenal.
I felt like, my goodness, this guy is going to bring something to us. I guess it's because of the quality of players that we had. We are being forced to play Niles in those positions. Bellarinas like Cedric just bring someone who's used to those positions. Now, I never felt like I wouldn't include him in our top 10 worst players of all time. Even Sarah, I wouldn't include him. I still think there are some games where I saw something and he was doing okay, and it was always good for the culture as well. He's done his coaching badges. I think we'll see him as a coach very soon. I think he could end up as I've had Matasaka and Xhaka saying. Xhaka said, I could see Attacker will become a manager. And I think Cedric is going to become a manager as well. He's almost has the same, personality as Ateta and all that. So he can be a manager. In terms of quality, in terms of bringing the team, now that's a player definitely moved past completely. At that time, we didn't have a lot of money. We were looking for cheaper signings, loan deals. You were signed on loan at first, and then we made this deal permanent later on. You were desperate. You didn't have money to buy players. We couldn't attract players. Those are the only players we could attract and stuff. So he had to go with what we had. Has he overstayed his stay at Arsenal? I think he has. I think the time we signed, I think the time we signed Tommy Yasu, I think that's when he should have left, because we already have Ben White as well. But Ben White was coming in as a centre back. The moment you realized Ben White could play as a right back and he still had Tommy Yasu, that's last season, we should have moved him on. But El Nene is not sad about him staying, but for Cedric, it didn't really make sense. But it didn't really affect me at all, having there or not, because I knew they're not going to play anyway, and they're not really on big wages and stuff like that. So I was just okay with it. But yeah, he's definitely come to the end, and I think we should give Cedric a new 4-year contract. I'm kidding.
How he has stayed
no bad
the last
blood.
2 years?
Yeah, lucky guy.
Astronomy,
both of them. I think they're very lucky.
For you to explain why he's been at Arsenal for the last 2 years or 3 years, you'll have to understand that of astrophysicists, black hole theories, and things like that. Because the Big Bang, I can't explain. But of course, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a very, very, nice ride once again. The Cossy and GLEN podcast comes your way every single day on both channels. The Everything Arsenal, presented by Glenn Kitely, Everything Arsenal, obviously, and on the Cossy Arsenal podcast, presented by Cossy on the Cossy Arsenal podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Lots of stories coming your way. We're going to be reacting to the latest Arsenal news, to the latest transfer news. We have a big window, a window that's going to be interrupted by the Euros. So don't be surprised to see some good talents at the Euros, and then they're linked with Arsenal. That usually happens. Don't get angry and don't get anxious. We have, a lot of things to talk about. If you feel like the transfer window is not really doing well for you, take a break and come back. We will always be here. We'll speak to you tomorrow. See you. Good night.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt the glow. The warmth inside me kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. My best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. The gain's an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell, stared at death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me through. Now you're gone, I'm alone. best friends.